Hey, what's up, everybody? XRP getting a little bit of a pump here. We've been consolidating over the last couple days, right? Or actually more than that, about a week here. And looks like we broke above this critical area right around 58 cents. So we're not out of the woods, not even close. We still got, a lot of work to do as far as getting back above this swing high, sitting here at 62 cents, but it's overall in the right we're going in the right direction, right? Obviously, we've been looking at this gorgeous, gorgeous three-wave move. I mean, look at that. You have an impulse, and you have a beautiful three-wave move, and then you have a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have a 1, 2, 3, and then we're flagging out for wave 4, and it looks like we have a 1, 2. Maybe we get 3, 4, and 5. Right? So we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we get a 5-wave leg, that'll be a really, really good thing. So it's nice to see it breaking out today, this beautiful Saturday, September 21st. By the way, it's my birthday. And what better way to celebrate than getting a little bit of pop here on XRP? So, yeah, looking pretty good here for the time being. Let's do a little bit of analysis here. So if we kind of draw a little bit of a triangle, right? And then I take this and I bring it all the way down, kind of give us a little bit of a measured move here. And then what I'll do is I'll drag that right about there. So you can see about 63.5 cents would be a potential target there, and that would actually get us right back to where we need to be, which is, I call, the big breaking point for XRP. Because if I zoom out here, and you can see how small that is now in comparison, but if I drag that along here and I kind of raise it up a little bit, right? As soon as we break that zone, there's really let me get to the larger time frames here, and there's really two more major breaking points, right? So if you want to see a $5 to $10 XRP, there's two things XRP needs to do. Number one, it needs to break above this level right here. This is a very critical area. I mean, you can see it right in here, right? And then you can even stretch it back right in here. So that is a very key area. Just like, for example, down here, this was a very key area to break out. We broke out, we came down, we made a violent back test that actually sliced right through, but then we ended up continuing to break out. So I would say this area right here, which is between 63 and say maybe 87, 90 cents, right? So we'll say 60 to 90 cents. Breaking above 60 to 90 cents is one of the biggest things we can do for XRP. After that, I mean, really, it's a hop, skip, and a jump, and we're literally in price discovery. And basically what price discovery means is there's really no overhead resistance, because once you break, and this is the second area right here, and that is between $1.30 and say $1.90. So between $1.30 and $1.90. Now you can say, well, wait a minute. You have all of this price up here between $3 and all the way down to $2. So between $2.33, or I'm sorry, between $2 and $3.30. That's a big area right here. But here's the thing, there's really not a lot of resistance there. And you can say, well, wait a minute. You're telling me that there's more resistance in this zone and there's more resistance in this zone than the actual all-time high? How's that possible? Because because how would that make sense? Because the price is higher, obviously it would be harder to get through. Not necessarily. The reason why is because if you look over here, there's only a couple candles here. So it's really not resistance. Just like if I flip it upside down, right? It's basically a point here. There's really no oscillation. That's why I always say building a base is very important, right? The bigger the base, the higher in space. And XRP I'm telling you guys, this is not financial advice, but I'm telling you right now, XRP has the biggest base in crypto history. It is the number one American blockchain company in the United States, right? Which is called Ripple, the native token XRP. We have a lot of ammunition for XRP, like the Grayscale Trust just launching, right? Trump becoming president, which is going to help all of crypto, regulations, which is going to help all of crypto. But more than that, right, for XRP, we have the XRP ETF coming out soon. And I mean, hell, it could be even announced this year. We don't know, right? There's no lawsuit. They're not going to repeal the lawsuit. It's over. It's done. The Ripple lawsuit is over. XRP is not a security. It is the only coin on planet Earth alongside Bitcoin that has actual clarity, which is not a security, right? And you can say, well, what does it matter? The price is not doing anything. It's billowing up. It's billowing up, right? Like, a room full of smoke. The smoke is getting thicker and thicker and thicker. And eventually the pressure of the heat will break the window and you will see it like a geyser, like Yellowstone, like Old Faithful, just blowing up, going into parabolic mode. And I mean, this is a major area here. I mean, look at this. Look how long we've been going sideways here. I mean, this is a big base here, right? And a lot of people don't like XRP, number one, because it's a banker coin, it supports the banks, but it actually doesn't support the banks. It actually makes banks accountable for their actions, but it also helps reduce the friction in the banking system, which ultimately saves them money and then in return saves us money. But more than that, it's a technology. The XRP ledger is basically a platform we can build upon, right? And I think it's only going to get bigger and bigger. Obviously, the ammunition, right, the XRP ETF, but also the stable coin, which is going to introduce most likely tens of billions of more dollars on that XRP ledger, right? So, sideways is good. And another reason they don't like XRP is because it does nothing, right? You're at 30, 40 cents, 50 cents, 60 cents, 40 cents, 50 cents, 50, 50, 50, 50, 60 cents, 50 cents. I mean, it's just brutal, right? But here's the thing. That is a good thing. And it might drive people crazy. But when you ask a guy who is used to investing into things that are going berserk versus a guy like Warren Buffett, who, is a very patient man. Basically the people who have the most patience, often the biggest rewarded, right? So yes, it's been very grueling. Yes, you could have made a lot more money in other coins like THETA, obviously, Bitcoin, right? Fetch, a lot of them, Matic, because XRP never went on a bull run. It only went into this little tiny retracement. But now, fast forward today, that was actually a blessing in disguise. Why? So, number one, it created a bigger base. Number two, it allowed it to go into reaccumulation, right? Because that's what it's all about. It's about where we are in the market. And where we are in the market is reaccumulation, just like we were down here, right? So we have the rise, we have the crash, we have the retrace, we go down into reaccumulation, we go sideways for a long time, and then we blow up, right? Same thing here. We have a rise, right? We have a crash, we have a retrace. While the rest of the market was going in a big bull run, we only went into retracement. So at the time, what that did was it implanted in a lot of people's brain that XRP is an S coin, it doesn't do anything, it sucks, it's, blah, blah, blah. But actually, as an XRP investor, I'm glad that it didn't break out. Number one, because I wouldn't have been able to accumulate the lower prices. And number two, it built a bigger base. And number three, it allowed it to go into reaccumulation, which then matched the same structure as before, right? I mean, you can even see it with Bitcoin here, how important reaccumulation is, which led to a massive Bitcoin rally, right? We had a rise, crash, retrace, right? And then what did we do? We went sideways in reaccumulation before we exploded to the upside. So when we look at XRP, that's exactly where we are, right? So I'm going to show you a chart in just a second, but yeah, this is a very key area. We have two key areas to break through. If we can break through this 60, let's call it 70 to 90 cents, is the first major area, and then the second major area is between $1.30 and say $1.90, right? If we can break above those two areas, we are in full-blown price discovery, and it's going to be absolutely historic for XRP. And when you have something going sideways for this long, what that does is you have to always think long term, right? So looking at this massive base here, and by the way, this is the breaking point. These two lines right here, this one here and this one here, right? That is basically the green flag in NASCAR. Go, 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 right? I mean, that's the break line, right? So I know one guy called it like the Valhalla line, or I'm not good with the fancy names, but something fancy, right? We got going right here. So when you look at it from a long-term perspective, right? Let's say and by the way, look at this beautiful three-way move. Boom, boom, boom. I mean, that is a 1 year long three-wave move right there, right? After a 5-wave leg to the upside, we have a three-way pullback right there, and now we have an impulse, and now we're flagging out. So this thing could literally start accelerating to the upside. I am not kidding when I tell you this. This doesn't mean it's going to happen today, tomorrow, next week, or even next month. But I think very soon, this has the potential to get right back to $1.30, right? So first step, $1. Second step, $1.30. I bet you that it's coming probably within the next 6 months, I would imagine. Now I don't like giving a time horizon. You know, it could be a week, it could be 10 weeks. It could, you know, it's kind of hard to gauge that. But we'll jump into the time analysis a little bit later. But you know, this leg here looks like it can really get going for that third wave, right? So then I would imagine we would start flagging out here a little bit, and then we would at that point break into price discovery, going maybe probably about $5 or $6 before I would imagine back testing the all-time high a little bit, and then getting that final push maybe between $8 to $10. But here's the thing, it's really hard to sort of value this because there's a lot of things that could add to it, right? We got Fibonacci levels, we got the different like for example, if I take a measured move from this area here all the way to the top here, and then I take that and I put it right about there, that gets us a measured move of about $17. So $17 is very, very possible. I think the very low end would be between $4 to $5, and the very, very, very high end, the highest end that I can see it would be about $27. And I know that sounds insane, and I know that sounds very high, but hey, I mean, you got guys out there on YouTube right now telling you $50, $100, $200, and I just can't get on board with that. I can't see that happening unless, you know, the Federal Reserve or the central bank of some sort comes out and says, you know what, we're going to use this for the derivatives, we're going to use this for the bond market, we're going to use this for the FX market, right? If we get some news like that, then oh my God, that's when it gets really serious, right? But as far as the traditional investor like me and you and a couple billionaires, right, and maybe a few hedge funds, I think we can get up to, $8 to $10 pretty easily. But here's the thing, where I was going with all of that is whatever move we get is what we get. But here's the thing, when that move is finished, it's all about what happens in that sort of bear market, right? So what happens in that bear market is going to be critical. So let's say we get up here, right? We start playing up here and we blast up. Let's say we get $10 to $20, right? Okay, the top is in, it's over. And by the way, look at this. You have a cup, and if we continue to start rounding up, you have a handle. And if we take the measurement of that cup, right, ballpark here, that could be about $24, $25. And where did I come up with $27? Just so we're on the same page here. If I take a Fibonacci level, right, the 4.236 comes in about $10 to $13. But if I flip that over to log scale, we then have a 1618 extension, and I don't see, it did not work. 1 second here. We have a 1618 extension, which brings us to that $27 area. Let me see if I can get it right there. Yeah, so I said 27, so 24. I think on Binance it was 27, but 24, $25. We'll just say 25 bucks. Right? That's where I'm getting that target, is that 1618, and the 1618 is a common area, right? And crypto loves to hit these massive log scale targets, especially, right? XRP's totally overdue. Remember, when XRP blasts off, it's not going to be going into a bull run. It's going to be going into 2 bull runs. Remember, XRP never had a bull run last time, right? So whatever run we get, you can multiply that by 2, okay? So, because remember, when we were over here, we just went into a retracement. Solana was breaking out, Bitcoin was breaking out, Ethereum was breaking out, Matic was breaking out, Cardano, ADA was they're all breaking out. So they all had that bull run, but XRP didn't, right? So if it breaks out again, or if it breaks out, once it breaks out, remember, it's overdue. It is overdue, right? And what it happens, it's like pushing a beach ball down underwater. And eventually you're going to get tired, and that beach ball is going to come flying up, right? So trying to hold a balloon underwater doesn't really work. So all that pressure is building up, not just from the structure we're in, but also from it not going into a bull run before, right? So once that happens, it's going to be very, very interesting. Okay, but here's the part where it really gets interesting. When you look at, and for this example, let me go to, I don't know, let's see, like ADA. Okay, when I go down to ADA. So the problem with ADA is it doesn't have that structure like XRP has, right? So XRP actually has a base. This has no base. The only base we have is a little bit down in here, right? That's all we really have. Whoops, let me do that again. So right in there is our base. But here's the thing. If Cardano, let's say Cardano breaks out and goes to a bull run, well, what do you think the bear market's going to be like? It's probably going to go back below the all-time high, right? Because there's not a lot of structure here. If there was a big base here and we broke out, we would have more sustainability above the highs when it comes down, right? So when I go back to XRP for a second here, right? This base is actually the best thing that could have happened to XRP. Why? Well, let me just go up to the weekly here, right? Just like we had a base down here, right? It offered more momentum right? Because it was a bigger launch pad. It was a bigger base. It went sideways for longer, which means the volume profile, all the intricate workings of, the support is has much more strength moving forward. So when we break out, not a matter of if we break out, it's not a matter of if we're going to break out, it's a matter of when we're going to break out, right? When we break out, that's going to be very interesting. But when we have a bear market, right, once this thing goes into a bear market and starts coming down, it's going to be even stronger. Why? Because you have all of this support down in here, right? And when we come down, we probably will back test, maybe build a little base on here, right? Play around a little bit and then continue higher, right? Maybe like a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, you know what I mean? So it's going to be very, very interesting. And so by it, let me take everything off the screen. By it, doing all of this, right, in the last 6.5, going on almost 7 years, right, is a big deal. Is a very big deal. So that's pretty much what I'll say about XRP on the longer term situation. And then also look at this chart. So this is the weekly RSI, right? And when you look at the weekly RSI, you can see that we've clearly broke above the downward resistance line. We had a beautiful ABC here on XRP, so it's looking really good for more upside, perhaps even back up to this upper line here around that 70 mark. So yeah, it's looking very well. And when we take that RSI off and we look at the weekly chart here, you can see something. Actually, let's bump that up to the 2-week chart, huh? You can see something very interesting when you basically just compare and contrast, right? And if we bump that up even to, like, for example, the 2-month chart, you can see that we're exactly 20 bars in this platform here, this base. And this one here, we're at 40 bars. So it's literally twice the amount of time. So we're coming at a big inflection point here, right? So if this structure is twice as big, and this happened 20 bars, right, which is 20 months, right, or no, 40 months, right? So it took 40 months for this thing to break out. This one here took 80 months. Think about how long a month is. A month is what, 31 days? Now multiply that by 80. 80 months is a long time. I mean, that's years and years. That's a long time, right? So all of that has been brewing like a cup of coffee. Imagine brewing a cup of coffee for 8 years. I mean, that sucker's gonna be strong, right? So that'll wake you up pretty quick. So when you look at all of this, right, and let me just point here, you have your rise, you have your top. You can see it there. You come down, and you can't really see it on this. Let me go down to the 2-week chart here, right? So there we go. You can see we came down, we made a base, and then you can see we had that liquidity grab. Same thing happened here, right? And then we came up, we made a retracement. Same thing happened here. We came down, we had an accumulation box. Same thing here. And then we came up, we made a second accumulation box. Same thing here. I mean, what is the statistical probability of all of these things happening? And then what did we have? And then we had this massive liquidity grab, right, that came down, right, kind of like a little white cop structure, liquidity grab there. And then also we had an A, B, C, D, E, Elliott wave triangle, contracting triangle, same thing here. We have A, B, C, D, and E, right? And then, yeah, and see that little circle there, there's a liquidity grab. And then what happened after that? Blast off. So where are we at now? I mean, guys, this could happen soon. I don't know if you realize that, but this could happen very fast. Okay, so we got to be very cautious. Now, what is it going to take for XRP to do this? Well, obviously, we're going to need Bitcoin to participate. We're going to need Bitcoin to expand into that fifth wave. We're going to need the stock market to remain healthy. We're going to need the dollar to stay low. We're going to need the election to be okay. I mean, there's a lot of things that need to go right, but when you look at the chart, everything's lining up for it to be in a nice sweet spot. So again, it's not a matter of if it happens, it's a matter of when is it going to happen. Now, the difference here is what with Bitcoin, right? So number one, there's really two ideas here for Bitcoin. Both of them equal $100,000. Both of them. The difference is how they get there. The first one is we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And if we get the fifth wave, you're looking between 84 and 120, 120K. So right around there. If we come up a little bit more and we start breaking down, we come up, we retest it as resistance, we continue to break down, right? Then I'm going to be looking at this, as you guys know, as reaccumulation, okay? Where you basically come down and you kind of go sideways for a little bit, right? Where you get a big discount in price. We backtest 30K, between 30 and 47K, right around here. We consolidate a little bit, and then we go up at a later time. The target is still the same. Most likely it'll be a little harder, so instead of 84 to 120, it'll most likely be like, between 90 and 150, right? So it'll be a bigger target because we've had a lot of momentum get restored here, right? So we could see a $10 XRP fast, or it might take another 6 months to a year to see that. But I don't think it's going to take that long. I really don't. I think Trump's going to win. I think there's going to be a fight. There's going to be some chaos, but eventually the dust is going to settle, right? He's going to be president. And what is he going to do? He's going to fire Gary Gensler. What is that going to do? That's going to cause a big push because altcoins are going to be bullish again. Why are altcoins been bearish? Because they're petrified of Gary Gensler going after them and suing them, right? So there's not a lot of confidence or conviction in the altcoins because of the security, because of the regulational type of situations, right? So I believe once Trump gets in, all of that stuff is going to be resolved rather quickly because they have an idea, right? Remember, his son and himself are going into business into crypto, right? So he's a real estate developer. He has many businesses, but he's starting a new business, right? Which was the Truth Social, the social media platform. But what other business is he starting? He could have started any business. He could have started a restaurant, another casino. He could have started anything. What did he choose? He chose crypto because he knows that's where the money's going to be. That's where the money's going to be. That's where everything is going to change your life. Your life isn't going to be the same. It's going to be different. It's going to be better, right? You're going to go to sleep knowing that you have a bigger pillow to rest your head on, right? Most people, the number one people think reason why divorce happens is because of money and infidelity, right? Two things you should never do, or you should never do that. But just break up and then do it, right? There's no reason to do that. But two things, right? Infidelity and money. That's the number one reason why marriages fail. So when you have a situation where it puts the altcoins in an environment of uncertainty because of Gary Gensler, because of this regulatory uncertainty, and then you put someone in there who's absolutely certain, and he's even putting his money where his mouth is, I mean, you can rest assured that it's going to get resolved, meaning the altcoin market is going to boom again, right? Make crypto great again. Make in alt season come back, right? And I think that's going to be, and remember, markets price themselves in before the event. So for example, let's say Trump wins and smart money knows exactly what's going to happen in regards to regulations, clarity, Gary Gensler, the SEC, all that stuff. So smart money understands that if he wins, right, once it's confirmed, that we're going to have a big push to the upside. Why? Because the market is starting to price in what is about to come, which is what? Regulations, passing it through the Senate, having the White House sign it, a stablecoin bill, right? We're going to have DeFi regulation. I mean, there's a lot of things that people know that is coming. So what they do is they buy before it happens. And then once it happens, that's why it's all about buy the rumor, sell the news, right? Let's say we go sideways for a little bit. Let's say Trump wins, right? And then let's say the Democrats or the deep state doesn't want to give it up. Maybe we hit the low a little bit. Just an example, right? But then it gets all figured out, and then Trump's confirmed, and then what happens? We explode. Why do we explode? Right? Because of everything I just mentioned, right? And then let's say we get up to 130,000 by April, or let's say 120,000 by April of next year, okay? And then what does he do? He fires Gary Gensler day one. What else does he do? Regulations. I mean, what else? I mean, a lot of different things, right? And then what happens? That's the top. So the news comes out. We got regulations. We got this. We got that, right? Remember Elon Musk and the X platform and the new financial platform he's doing. Maybe that comes out as well. So everything, all the good news starts rolling in. That's when you know it's the top. Just like back over here, when you had like all the Saturday Night Live and all the, I think that was like Super Bowl commercials, or I don't know. I don't think that was that time, but you had a lot of good news back over here, right? You had Michael Saylor and things like that. So, but this time it's going to be even bigger and even better. So what we have to do is we have to sort of gauge the future. We have to figure out how this is all going to boil down. I think even if Kamala wins, which I really don't think that's going to happen, but let's say she does, if she does, that means she stole it, right? The deep state stole it. And the reason they need to steal it is because they're petrified of what Trump represents, which is ending their political scam on the American people as far as treason, corruption, right? I mean, just look at Hunter Biden's son, right? He was a member of a Ukrainian gas company making billions, or not billions, but the company itself making billions, and he's making a lot of money off of it. That's just one example, right? So anyway, once it's confirmed, we should see a big rally. And then once all the good stuff starts happening, that's when we should take profit, right? Because again, buy the rumor, sell the news. So what does this all mean? Well, let's go back to XRP. So regardless of what happens, right, in the short term, I think it's becoming to get, it's starting to get priced in of future events, right? Future events are starting to. That's why when you go back to Bitcoin, that's why we saw the inflation. Why did Bitcoin go up? The number one reason it went up, right? This was right here, C19. The whole world stopped, right? Which then what happened? The Fed turned their money printer on, which then what happened? Then people started pricing in inflation. So then we had nobody was talking about inflation in here, right? Nobody was really talking about inflation. Once we started getting up here, that's when the inflation really started rolling out, and that's when people thought we're going to go higher because of the inflation. No, the market already priced in the inflation before it actually happened, right? And then that's when we got the big bear market. Nobody understood why we were going into a bear market because of all of the rising inflation. But people don't realize that we came from less than $4,000 all the way up to $60,000. So I would say that's pretty dang inflated, right? And then what did we do? We came down into a bear market. We cooled off. We developed a base. We started rolling up through a retracement level. We built a base here, right? And now we're starting to flag out at the all-time high. So, and now what do we see? The interest rates are coming down, right? So it's looking pretty dang good. So far so good, right? So when we go back to XRP, you can see the possibility of something absolutely miraculous happening in the not too distant future. Now again, if I put Bitcoin up at the same time, and actually let me do this and make it a little bit better here, and I'm going to go to the line. There we go. And let's do, we'll do dark orange. There we go. So there's Bitcoin there. And look how overvalued Bitcoin is compared to XRP. That's another reason why I don't really understand why people buy Bitcoin right now. Because even if Bitcoin did go to 100K, you're not really getting a lot. But look at that. We're flagging out here, and Bitcoin's way up here, XRP's way down here. So, and if I recalibrate it a little bit, right, and let me actually put it to regular scale. There we go. So that's, and then I'll throw it on percentage value. Look at that. So Bitcoin is plus what, almost 20,000%, and XRP is plus, about 4,500%. So, and if we zoom in a little bit over here, right, you can see Bitcoin ran up first, and then as Bitcoin was starting to come down, that's when XRP started to rise to the upside. So, number one, either Bitcoin's going to go down into reaccumulation and then blast off later, or we're going to blast off now. Either way, that's what I believe is happening. So if we have to come down, then I can see the price maybe popping the high a little bit and then kind of trending sideways even longer, and then eventually breaking out. But I just don't really know. I don't really like that a lot, because the structure would then get lost. The three-wave shape would get lost. It wouldn't look as nice, right? That's why I think it needs to happen now, not later. It needs to happen now. It needs to happen by April. If it doesn't happen by April, it's not going to look nice. It's not going to look good. That's why I really hope we don't have to go down into reaccumulation. But if we do, then I think it should be quick, right? Because once Trump gets in and once people know, the reason why crypto has been so stagnant and the reason why it's not bigger than what it is today is because it's all speculative, right? You can't go to Walmart and buy a gallon of milk with Bitcoin, right? I mean, you just can't. So once the financial system starts breaking down, because I believe we are gonna get a major financial crisis during Trump's presidency, and he's gonna have to handle this with extreme caution, right? And what is he gonna do? Well, we got gold, we got silver, we got crypto, and those things are going to put the economy back on track, because we don't have sound money, right? We have an inflated system, and that's why we have all the problems we see today. Bubbles everywhere. Guys, go to YouTube, type in Tucker Carlson and JD Vance. Wow. Like, I hear political interviews all the time, and it's like, yeah, it's the same stuff, the border and taxes and this and that. It's boring, right? But this interview was really good. Tucker asked him a straight up question like, hey, what are you going to do if you win and they don't give up the White House? Listen to what he says. And then also he asked him, well, what are you afraid of during Trump's presidency? What JD Vance said was the bond market. He believes, that once Trump wins, they're going to really come down on him as far as the investigations, more impeachment crap, right? Convictions. They're going to even go as far as trying to wreck the economy even worse than it is, so that they can blame him, because there's a big financial crisis coming. Remember, we haven't had one since 2008, so we're overdue. And we just had C19 not too long ago, which just printed even more money. So what do you think is going to happen? All that stuff's going to accumulate, and it's going to create an environment where things need to be reset, right? We're $30 trillion in debt. J.D. Vance talked about that. He says, you know, he's got to play optics. He's got to watch what he says. But basically, if you listen to him, it's really quite eye-opening on what's being said right now. So, and people think, oh, the stock market's going to crash. It's not the stock market per se. If you want to see the real fabric of the financial system break down, it's not going to happen in the stock market. It's going to happen in the bond market, right? And he talked about that. So listen to that interview. I think it's pretty good. So, anyways, that's another reason why my videos are long too, because it's not just charts. It's not just price action, but it's also politics in a sense. But then it's also more like, understanding the environment we're in, and understanding how big crypto really is in relation to where we are now, right? Like, again, what I was saying before, the reason why crypto isn't so insane right now is because we're in a speculative market. There's no utility, right? We need a utility. Utility will ultimately drive the market. But you can't have utility without regulation, and you can't have regulation without Trump, right? Because Kamala is in bed with the Democrats, and obviously she is one. She doesn't want you to become rich. She wants socialism. She likes, even communism. It's a wild thing to say that, but it's actually true, right? Because she's not in control of her own policy. She's a puppet, right? So she has no original ideas. Now, if you look at Bernie Sanders, he was an originalist. He had a grassroots movement. Disagree with his policies, but at least he had original ideas. She doesn't. She just is a yes woman. Whatever her handlers say, yes please, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. Whatever she says is a yes, right? Whereas Trump is actually a leader. You don't might have to like him or anything, but I believe I vote with my wallet, right? I vote with my freedom. I vote with my liberty. I vote with my wallet. Okay, everybody, I would assume, does. The number one issue in the world right now is the economy. What is wrong with the economy? It's not the economy per se, but it's the foundation in which the economy is built on, which is the banking system, right? And what is the solution to the banking system? Crypto. And what are we holding right now? Crypto. And what's going to make you unbelievably wealthy over time? Crypto. Why? Because there's no other solution, right? So, whether it happens today, next week, next month, right, next year, it's going to happen. Not financial advice. I could be wrong. This could go to zero. We could go to zero. For all I know, Kamala could win. Elizabeth Warren signs her bill with banning crypto, and that's it. Game over. We got nothing, right? So I don't think that's going to happen, by the way. But got to be on the right side of the trade. So let's talk about charts now, since I've been ranting on so long, right? I don't want to put you guys to sleep here. Just kidding. So looking at the 1 hour chart, you can see we're pulling back here. Let me put the regular, there we go. We're pulling back here a little bit. Let me go to right here, and I'm going to look at theta in just a second. I wouldn't be surprised if we pull back and look, guys, if we pull back and we start back testing here, I would imagine this is a good spot. So if you can get in at 58 or even 59, right? I'll just say my friend, right? Because I can't say you. I can't give financial advice. I'm not. I'm. This is all entertainment. This is an education. This is not for you to act on. This is for me and my friend, quote unquote, to act on, right? So I would tell my friend he should buy right there, right? Or at least dollar cost averaging, adding to the position. Now, if this thing impulses down and we break underneath and we come up and we retest it as resistance, then I would look at it a little bit differently. And remember, we've broken above the bull market support band, which is a very, very, very good thing. So we can always, if this is a 5-wave leg that's finished, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, then we could easily come all the way down in an ABC and back test the bull market support band before then going at a later time. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it at the moment. So that's idea number 1. Idea number 2 would be that let me just put a little bit right there, that we come down, we back test this, we hold it here, right? And then, so we have a 1, 2, right? And then we have a 3. Maybe we come down, we get 4, and then we get 5, right? So we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the subwaves, right? And then we pull back in an ABC, right? Kind of consolidating in this area, and then break out maybe sometime in October, right? Or Uptober, as they say, right? So I want to see this 5-wave leg get extended here and then eventually break out. Now, that would be idea number 2. Idea number 3 is come Monday morning, this thing just gets a big shot to the upside, like pretty massively up to 67 cents. I would say between 64 and 67 cents, and then we sort of, kind of drizzle out here like this before ultimately going higher later on. So those are the 3 ideas that I have at the moment. I'm not going to really get into any more, but here's what I'll say. What the most important thing is, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have a 3 down, we have 3 up, and we have 3 back down. That's a W, that's an X, that's a Y. This is a 1, this is a 2. This is a 3 wave. It's a wonky looking wave, but it's a running flat. And now we have a 5-wave leg working here of the 3rd. So this could be wave 1 of the 3rd. We get a wave 2, and then we blast off for that massive wave 3 to the upside. So we'll see how it works out. Again, we're going to need Bitcoin to show up to the party. Looking at Bitcoin on the 1-hour chart, we got 1, 2, we got 3, we got 4, and then we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the thing, guys. Bitcoin kind of looks like it's done for a little bit, right? I mean, it kind of looks, we're back at resistance, we're back above the bull market support. So I would imagine we're going to get a little bit of resistance coming in here. You can see right here, right? This is kind of the area of very big cluster here, and you can see we broke out right here, but we never came back down to back test. So I wouldn't be surprised if we come back down to 59K and back test. And then from there, right, so we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We would flag out a little bit, right, and then continue higher. I mean, that's the idea, right? So what's the bearish idea? Well, the bearish idea is if we come down and we break below 57K, we come up, we retest it as resistance, and then we continue down, right? So we definitely have some wiggle room here. The only thing I don't like is that Bitcoin already has 5 waves, but you know, when you look at like XRP, it still needs a little bit of a push. So I'm hoping, like for example, Matic, for example, you know, Bitcoin had, let me just put Bitcoin right here. There we go. So look at Bitcoin, right? Here's the all-time, here's the swing high, here's Bitcoin. We had 5 waves up. But look at Matic. Matic's way down here. So what I'm saying is, if Bitcoin has to pull back because it already had 5 waves, and it comes down pretty hard all the way down here, what do you think the altcoins are going to do? They could eat, you know, since they're right here, they could actually make another low, right? This could be 3 up and 3 down, right? We could actually make another low here in Matic, and it could still be bullish. The reason why we would make another low is because Bitcoin would be correcting. But since Bitcoin is so high and Matic is so low, and not just Matic, but like, I mean, let's look at THETA here, for example. Now, THETA is in a much better spot, right? So let me get rid of Bitcoin now. I mean, THETA is right back to the swing high, right? And we also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 waves to the upside, right? Could we get another push? I mean, could this be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with an extended 5th? Yeah, it could. And then we flag out later on, and then we go higher. That's kind of what I'm thinking here. Or we start flagging out now, right? But the last thing we want to do is start dumping to the downside, because Bitcoin needs, you know, a decent sized correction, right? And if we look at XRP, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then XRP needs a 3-way pullback, right? So we don't really want it to go down that much. We want it to stay tight and continue, right? So let's look at the weekly chart, since it's going to be the weekly close tomorrow. And wow, look at that weekly, guys. So here's the grand finale right here. If by some miracle, I don't think it's going to happen, but it could. But if by some miracle, here's the big thing that I'll say. If we can break above this right here, you see this candle right here? This is the candle right here. What we want is for this green candle to close above this high, which would be literally at 60 cents. 60 and a tenth of a penny, right? So let me just put that up right here, and then I'll just come down right there. Yeah, so if we can break above this line, or I'm sorry, close above the line, it'll be a really good thing. But you can see we're starting to pull back here. But if we can close above that line, it's gonna be a really good thing, because then when you zoom out, what do you have? Right? You have this weekly candle breaking out, and it closes above, and then what happens? Well, then it confirms the breakout by closing above, and then we should get some more momentum to the upside, right? And then what I would do is take this line, right? Let me clone it here, and I'll just put another one right here, right? And then we would break that one there, right? So it's looking really, really good. And then another thing we can do is, I mean, we already broken out of this thing, really. If I take this downward resistance line, oh my God. I didn't even realize that. Yeah, so I know we've broken above it, but not wick to wick. Look at that, guys. XRP has officially broken above its downward resistance line. Not the long-term one, but at least this short-term one here. That is a big deal, right? So the weekly candle is going to close in a day or so. So if we can get this guy to close above the downward resistance line, then the following week, which is coming up, right, it might take another 2 weeks, right? Because maybe next week we might have to back test into the downward resistance line. But either way, it's a step in the right direction, because ultimately I want to see us break out here. So let me put this here. I'm going to go up to here, and then I'm going to come down to here, right? And let me see if that's on log scale. Okay, yeah, we are, because we're on log scale. So I want to see us get above that 71-cent line there. So I can totally see us getting there even as little as a couple weeks, right? So it's definitely something to pay attention to. Another thing too is this downward resistance line. We already broken above it, but if I put it on the wick here, look at this right here, you can see, actually let me go to log scale here. There we go. You can see we've also broken above it, right? So definitely a good thing to see. And then I can even be a little bit more conservative and put the line, let's see, let's go to the daily here, because I'm just trying to see, because a downward resistance line is always important. So let me see where I'd want to put that line. I mean, I could put it on the top here, but if I'm more conservative and I put it, for example, here, right, and I put it at that top, because I'm trying to get the two closes down here, right? So if I put it right around there, and then I come up here, you can see we haven't quite broken it yet. Yeah, you see that there? So let me bump that up to the 4-day chart. And then what I'll do is I'll put it right on the close. And now what I'm doing is just going by the closes, right? And what I want is I want this to touch, and I want this close to also touch, right? So if I come down and I try to fidget with it just for a second, and I try to get not only this wick and this close, but then also this close, and you can kind of see right where we're at. So I think this line, the way I have it right now, I think is the best way to draw it, right? And you can see we poked above it and we came back down. So now I'll go to the weekly chart, and that's our line right there, right? So we really want to break above that line. This is looking really bullish, guys. Very bullish. So anyway, let's see what happens. Anything can happen, not financial advice. Let me look at Theta real quick. I think I just did. But even Theta looking really nice here on the weekly chart. Got a little bit of an engulfing candle here. Oh, and by the way, Theta is going to close the candle above its previous weekly high, right? So this is going to be the highest weekly close in quite some time. I actually go back to July, so that's a big deal. So we're actually going to close below above this line here, unless we get a big pullback. I mean, a lot could happen in a day, but if Theta can close above these two closes here, or mainly this one here, I mean, that would be a big deal, right? That would be a big deal to go to the upside. So, and then you guys know where I stand on Theta, right? We have a base here. We could come up, maybe pull back, flag out a little bit, but then ultimately break out, get it back to $1.90, flag out again, back test, and then get higher. And that's kind of how I'm envisioning Theta. I mean, it could be a little bit longer, but that's how I'm thinking here. So anyways, that'll do it for this video. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hit that like button. Give me a like. It's my birthday. All I want is a like. Come on, you can do it. Thank you. No, I'm just kidding. You don't have to, but I'm serious. I appreciate everybody for tuning in, and let me know. Drop a comment and let me know what you guys think. Are you guys bullish? Are you guys thinking, no, I could be totally wrong, and we're gonna have the bear scenario. We're gonna break down. We're gonna crash all the way to $30,000. There's going to be a black swan event. I mean, it could happen. It could totally happen. We got to be cautious. But the thing is as long as we're hodling, we're cool, We might lose a little bit of money on paper, but overall, we're going to do very well. I just know it. So anyways, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.